All, welcome back to Allegedly, the show where we talk about all things law. I'm Ivy.
And I'm Johanna. This week's episode is allegedly advocated.
We had the opportunity to speak to Detective Booth from our very own Allen Police Department. He talked to us about his direct involvement with the response to the Uvalde school shooting, as well as his role at the Children's Advocacy Center, also known as the CAC. We will be exploring the experiences and the challenges dealing with the high-pressure situations he went through and goes through every day.
I'm sure most of y'all know about the school shooting that happened on May 24th, 2022 at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Unfortunately, 19 children and 2 teachers were killed. Detective Booth volunteered to help respond to the aftermath of the Uvalde shooting for 7 days. I wasn't in class when he talked about it, but I am curious about the impact it left on you. Elise, what were your thoughts about the information he shared with us?
Booth going to Uvalde showed an immense amount of strength. I don't think I could have been done that. The local community, especially the parents of the children that passed away, had a immense amount of distrust with the police department. So going in as an outside figure, not knowing the roads, not knowing the people you're working with, and basically starting from square one must have been really hard. They didn't know a lot. They had to face the families. They had to lead the funeral processions. That must have been so devastating to see these families and having the police that were there, having people hate them, and then you're coming in to do their job, and there must have been a bunch of tensions going on.
Thanks, Elise, for sharing your perspective. Layla, what is your perspective about what he shared with us also?
He shared with us that he went down there with a team of other Allen officers. I think personally I would go. I think when you're doing anything, going there with people that you're kind of familiar with is helpful. I think the reason I would go myself is kind of people don't like the police at this point. I think it's important to show face, and I think it's important to show that you're standing together. Um, the media, he talked about how challenging that was. I think because the families didn't want the media there, but of course, media wanted to be there, and I think dealing with that would have also been challenging. But still, that's also a point for you to stand together and be like, regardless of what you think is happening, this is what I'm doing. And he talked about how it was an honor for him actually to be at the funerals, and I would think the same way. Like people having distrust of the police and them actually being okay with you leading their funeral, I think that would be an honor as well.
I think Officer Booth is a strong person to face all those challenges and continue to show up and show face, like you said, Layla. Something I was here for is when he discussed his role as a detective at the Children's Advocacy Center, applying that same dedication to helping children in need.
You may be wondering what the CAC is. The Children's Advocacy Center is a place that serves children and families affected by abuse, providing a safe child-focused environment and coordinated services such as forensic interviews, therapy, and family advocacy. They offer responses for cases of child sexual abuse, severe physical abuse, neglect, witnessing violent crimes, and child human trafficking. The CAC operates by bringing services to the child rather than the child going from place to tell their story and get help. Lucas, what is something that stood out to you about his role as a detective at the CAC?
One thing that stood out was like how he manages to keep composure because I feel like it'd be very difficult to sit across the table from somebody and they're saying like, "Oh, I did this to the kid" or something that like something so horrible, and how he keeps his composure without like jump across the table or something. He just asks the question, gets the answers, and walks out of the room.
Aspen, what did you learn from his visit that you think will stick with you?
Something I learned was about the stages of disclosure. Um, the 5 stages are denial, tentative, active, recant, and reaffirm. Specifically, tentative is very important because that's when they're first starting to test the waters, see if it's okay to talk about this, if it's a real thing that they're experiencing. And it's especially important if the tentative stage is spoken to with a friend, because that friend can either go to an adult or they can encourage them to speak out and make an outcry, or the tentative can go back and
they can say, actually, that never happened. And they won't, no, they will no longer feel comfortable talking about it. The stages aren't linear, they bounce around a lot. And it's very important that they are encouraged and supported.
To gain a law enforcement perspective and a deeper understanding of the challenges involved, we invited Officer Courtney to share his insights. Officer Courtney, what are some common challenges law enforcement officers face in balancing demands of their work and their personal lives?
That's an excellent question. So I've been doing this job for 20 years, and I learned very quickly that the things that I see while working can impact me personally and with my family. It is something where, unfortunately, we see some horrible things in our career, and you're having to just put things on the shelf when you leave. But unfortunately, when you're an officer, it's not just a job, it's a career, it's a lifestyle, and you carry everything you have with you every single day. So it takes the ability to talk freely with other officers. That's why you see more officers spend time with other officers because they could relate and you can talk about things. A lot of the people I used to hang out with outside law enforcement didn't really understand. And so you find yourself getting around the people that can help support you through those tough things and, and then to help to keep focus on your family.
So you said that you've been doing this for a long time. Do you think with your experience that you would be able to handle difficult or traumatic events such as Officer Booth's phase at Uvalde or even events at the CAC?
So with 20 years, I've had 20 years of experience all across the board. I know Investigator Booth well for my entire year. I trained him a little bit. He's exceptional at what he does, and having the ability to put himself in the CAC and fight the fight that needs to be fighting. Um, Not everybody can do that. I know for a fact my limitations. That is one thing I could not do, um, just because as challenging as it is. Um, I'm very thankful for officers like Detective Booth to do that job. I think the key thing about officers and the profession we have is that there's something for everybody, and we want to tailor it to our strengths and not dabble into our weaknesses because we do have a duty. And I'm very thankful for Detective Booth and what he's doing.
Thank you, Officer Courtney, for coming in and giving your insight. It allowed us and the listeners to get a deeper understanding of the challenges officers face while being on duty.
The big takeaway from this episode is everyone needs an advocate. This has been the Allegedly podcast. Stay curious.
Stay informed. Stay allegedly.